Welcome to Creators Cafe. I'm your host, Jessica Payne. I'm a performer, performance coach, and multi-hyphenate creator. I'm going to be bringing you conversations with some of my favorite creators where we talk about the sublime and the specifics of the creative journey. So grab a drink, get cozy. Let's go. My guest, John Mason, is a TV host, sportscaster, and actor. John is going to be hosting all of the major comps and fronting the content for World Aquatics, including hosting the Paris 2024 Olympic Games in less than a month. John grew up in Australia and began his career in London when he was scouted on the street to become one of those famous Abercrombie models. But his career soon widened into hosting. His time as the face of international swimming began in 2016 when he stepped in at the last minute to host the European Aquatics Championship at the London Aquatic Centre. John has continued on to host the biggest events in the world for Eurosport, BBC Sport, Channel 5, and FINA TV, including the European Championships, World Championships, Commonwealth Games, and Diving World Series. John is also a fierce CrossFit athlete himself and an advocate for LGBTQI visibility and human rights. I've been lucky enough to be an athlete in events he was hosting, not the Olympics, and John has that incredible way of making an event feel like the most exciting party you could be part of. Please enjoy my chat with John Mason.
Hey.
Cheers, John Mason. Welcome to Creators Cafe.
Cheers. Thanks, Jess. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Much needed.
Good. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking an iced skinny latte.
Nice.
Non-fat latte for those who aren't in America.
And I've got the regular deal. These are from Andante. Have you ever been there?
No.
It's down by the Grove
really?
on Beverly. It's really good.
I, for an Australian, am not much of a coffee snob. I really should be because Australia has like the best coffee in the world.
Yeah.
I will rock up at a Starbucks and get an iced Americano.
Way cheaper.
Yeah, I know it is, especially
Fantastic.
in LA.
Yeah.
But I should be more. I feel like I'm letting my country down a little bit. Just,
I won't tell anybody.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Shh, keep
exactly.
it quiet.
So how do you think about yourself as a creator?
Wow, that's a question.
Yeah.
As a creator, I suppose entertainer, I think, is like an overall thing.
Yeah.
You know, I work a lot as a TV host and I do dabble in a bit of acting. I cannot sing to save my life. Music has never been it's a passion of mine, but it's not something I can do. But I think, you know, an entertainer is how I would sort of summarize what I do, I suppose, as a whole.
That
right?
totally makes sense.
Yeah.
And you have that kind of soul of, even though you feel very modern and contemporary to me, you have the soul of like an old school like entertainer, like a vaudeville host of somebody that just wants everyone in the audience to be like thrilled and delighted and have a great time.
Yeah, I think that's what it all comes down to, right? Like I've always loved performing and getting up on the stage, you know, back in the day and whatever that may be. I love an audience.
Yeah.
You know? And having people laugh or entertaining people or keeping... I do that in my day-to-day life as well. Like I just think that's how I move through the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, entertainer. And I mean, I'd love to give vaudeville a go if we could go back in time.
Yeah, you have definitely the heart for it. Did you, like as a kid, just growing up, did you always have that tendency to be, whether it was the class clown or the person that was like getting everybody's attention and saying, here's what we're doing now?
Oh, without a doubt, 100%.
Okay.
And I think like my mum was very much like me as well. You know, I grew up quite in a religious family and she was always like playing the guitar at church and always singing and very like, we'd always put on like youth group shows and she was always the director and very loud and boisterous and it was just, I think like our household was quite chaotic because of my mum in a good way.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And my sister's very much like me as well. I think we're a bit of a family of that.
Yeah.
My poor father had to put up with us. You know, he's the polar opposite. But yeah, I think I grew up sort of always wanting that. And I look at old home videos of me now and it's just always performing, you know, from very, very young. And just loving an audience. I don't know what that says about me. Like, is there, not necessarily narcissism, but they're just, you know, always enjoying that validation and fun that comes from it, I suppose, and being able to give it as a gift to people. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I've seen enough people that it does feel like narcissism and it does feel like taking. But it is cool because you clearly relish being in the spotlight, but it does feel like a gift as well. Yeah. And it feels like it's a two-way conversation where, you know, us as the audience are benefiting, but hopefully we're giving you something back too.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And I think, you know, like we said, moving through life, it's not just about stage. I feel like I do that in my day-to-day existence.
Yeah.
You know, if you can make someone smile, or you can brighten up their day, or you can, you know, bring a bit of joy to them, whether it's your cashier at Trader Joe's or like someone at the gym, or I don't know, there's something, I get some sort of pleasure out of that, I suppose, being able to brighten someone's day. Yeah,
and you have that joie de vivre, that lightness anyway, but I appreciate that you share it with people.
Oh, thank you, Jess. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay, so you've got really big, exciting stuff coming up this month, and you just announced it, but go ahead and tell my audience exactly what you're doing, because the Olympics are coming and you will be the face of them.
Yes, well, I don't know about the face of the Olympics, but I'm going to the Olympics. I'm super excited about this. You know, I've worked in sports for many years, and I'm going and I'm fronting all of the content for World Aquatics. So for the swimming. So we're going out to Paris. It's going to be amazing. And it's going to be really cool because, you know, I work a lot in sports media. I know we're going to get to that. But I'm always doing something during, you know, if we're doing a live broadcast or something at a World Championships or a Europeans or whatever, I'm always doing something during the racing. So, you know, an athlete will finish, they get out, I have to interview them. And then the next one happens. In Paris, it's going to be different. So we're doing a recap show. So I'm going to be watching the finals every night as a spectator, which is going to be amazing. And then we're filming on a studio at a rooftop in Paris. And I mean, it doesn't get better than that. And we're filming a recap show. It's called About Last Night. And it's going to be me with like some other athletes. We've got a couple of Olympic gold medalists and stuff coming in to join me in the studio. And we're going to be like recapping every night, like what's happened in the finals, what's coming up the next day. So that's going to be really, really cool. And it feels, you know, it's my first one. So they always say you remember your first Olympics. I guess this is like an athlete or whatever is always going to remember their first one.
Sure.
It feels a little bit like the same for me, you know, like I'm so buzzed about it.
I would be too. I can't imagine.
Yeah. And I think it's also like it's the first one that we're having back since Rio, right? Like we had the Tokyo Olympics kind of were a bit of a bust. I hate to say, not a bust, that's the wrong word. The Tokyo Olympics were kind of different than any other Olympics because there was no crowds. It was the middle of COVID. No one had any spectators. They weren't sending all the media that they normally sent. So this is like the first one in a long time. Were
you present for those? Were you involved? So you just weren't involved at all for that?
And no one, barely anyone went.
Because it was bare bones, right?
It was bare bones. It was like skeleton crews out there. You know, there was still very much like social distancing. So no one was doing those up close interviews and personal interviews. So it ran very differently than any other sort of Olympics you've ever seen. But I mean, Paris, it's going to be amazing, Jess.
It's going to be so beautiful.
I'm so pumped about it.
What are you looking forward to the most out of the experience?
Oh, wow. That's a tough one. Big question. I think for me, what's been fascinating over the last 8 years or so that I've been working in that realm, I've really got to know a lot of the athletes, on a personal level. I'm going to, one of the athletes that's racing from Sweden, I'm going to her wedding in September. And, I've got to know them on a different level, right? So, I'm an Aussie boy. We love our sport. Yeah. I'm always going for Australia, of course, in everything. But now there's, an emotional connection to different people that I've really got to know. Yeah. Traveling the world with them. Yeah. So I think what I'm most looking forward to is watching some friends race and have absolute, there's genuine opportunities for them to medal, and to be able to be there and share that moment with them is going to be I'm actually getting chills thinking about it. Aww, it's I'm emotionally invested.
I love in watching your interviews, there's a couple that you have where you are the person where they come out of the water and they just broke a world record and they come up and you're dancing and they start dancing. Yes. And just to see that you get to share that moment with them is so beautiful.
And that's the thing that I think I love about it, right? If you think about like I'm one of those weird gays, a unicorn gay that is passionate about sport. There's not a lot of us, right? There's not a lot of us.
But you really are.
Yeah, I love it. I love
deeply.
love it deeply. And I think for me, it's like there's two places on the planet where I've felt that electricity and that energy. The one is at like a massive live music event. You know, went to the Eras tour last year.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a huge Swiftie.
Yeah.
Gagged. Loved it. It was amazing. But the only other place I felt energy like that is in live sports.
Yeah.
And not like watching it on TV, but being in an arena when something, you know, if someone's breaking a world record or, you know, they're becoming world champion for the first time, or, you know, we're witnessing us push the boundaries of like what the human body can do, right? Yeah. Someone's breaking a world record that's never been done before. So everyone that's in that room like watching it is watching something that has never in the history of mankind happened before. And the energy and the electricity there and the emotion for those, you know, that athlete is like absolute magic. And I think that's part of what I love to be able to do is try and bring, you know, the audiences at home who are watching this happen live or are watching it on TV or whatever, try and bring them closer to that emotion and share that joy or that, you know, sometimes it's heartbreak. It doesn't go the way they want. They didn't qualify or they didn't. And then you've got to share that as well. It's real. These people work their whole lives for something, you know. But that's what I love about it. So being able to be there and to be able to have that, be a part of that energy and that emotion without having to do any work until later where I can like sit in it and recap it and talk about it like we are here.
Yeah.
Is going to be, I think, pretty special for me. I'm really excited about it.
It's cool that you function as the witness and kind of the narrator of their stories to us and you channel that energy to us.
Yes.
And I think you really do that beautifully across everything you do. But I think it's going to be so cool to see it at that scale.
It's going to be really fun.
Also, I haven't really thought deeply about the similarities between the Eras Tour and the Olympics. Just that, like, that level of, you know, like, of course, sports are entertainment and music is entertainment, but just that level of, like, humans getting together to look at this one central thing is such a powerful, interesting psychological thing.
It totally
is.
We
do. I love it.
And you can't, you know, people will love Taylor or Hayter, the Eras Tour, or Beyonce, Renaissance, whatever, anything that you go to. Maybe it's the Rolling Stones that you're into when you go to. It's a shared experience, right? So you get into a stadium or, you know, an Olympic stadium or a stadium for the Eras Tour, you've got, you know, 95,000 people. Everyone is sharing the same moment and sharing it together collectively. It's electric. Like, it literally feels electric in the air. It's amazing. I love it.
It's so powerful.
Yeah.
What else are you doing to prepare? Because I know you had to go to Switzerland as part of this. So what does the preparation for the Olympics
I feel like I've been preparing forever.
And like
a haircut, new outfits.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, prep for this is going to be an interesting thing because I feel like I've kind of done a lot of the prep.
Yeah.
Because I've been working with World Aquatics for the last few years, at all of their majors, right? So I've been doing all of the post-race interviews, all of the in-venue hosting, all of that for every World Championships, the Swimming World Cups, you know, these major events for the last few years. I've been at these events. So, you know, we just came back in February. We were in Doha for the World Championships. Last year we were in Japan. So when I got to Doha, I already knew what had happened and knew who had won and saw who broke the records and saw who was like racing well and what they did there and who was coming in looking for redemption or who was trying to, you know, hold on to their title. I knew that because I'd like watched it already. So I feel like in a weird way, I've kind of we've been preparing for this since Tokyo. You know, we've got all the youngsters coming up that I'm getting to, like, I've had to sort of get to know, like, you know, there's the stars of the sport that I know that have been kicking around who, you know, maybe this is going to be their last Olympics. But I've seen them and watched them and raced with them. And then you'll get, you know, some young star come through at a World Championships. I'll be like, who is that?
Yeah.
Who are you? Like, you've not done anything and now here you are, like, you're a world champion. And that's like a really cool thing to have watched happen to, you know, these youngsters. But, you know, I'm rambling a little bit now, but just I feel like the preparation started years ago, because you're watching, it's a 4-year cycle, right? So you watch this development, you watch this happen. Who's made the team? There's been surprise, like all the Olympic trials are happening now, and there are people who I thought were going to be on teams, and then they came third, and countries only taking the top 2. And so there's been like shocks and surprises. So for me, once all of the teams have been decided, like the USA trials are about to happen, the Australian trials are happening right now. I hosted the British trials in London like a month ago. So all of these teams are being decided now, all over the world. So once the teams are decided, I'll have a look and be like, okay, who are we looking for? Go through each event, the men's 4IM. Okay, so like we got the world record holder. We got these. I think this will be like top semi-final. It could be any of them that get in. So then we break it down and look at it. But thankfully, it's not just me that has to do that. There'll be researchers there, and on a daily, like people will get into the final. There's going to be 100 people swimming, and only 8 of them are going to be in that Olympic final. I can't learn everything about 100 people. Right. So once a final's decided, then I can be like, okay, what did they do? What did they swim? What have they won? Who coaches them? If I don't know them, some of them I do already. But there's people that help me with that.
So I love the idea that you are a fan who's in the middle of it, but you're also the professional that represents them for us, and you kind of fill that middle ground, and you're the person that kind of has been there to watch their history. That's so beautiful, and you know them and care about them as people too, and get to like be a fan and cheer them on at the side is really cool.
And I'm really quite proud of that, because it had never been done before. In 2017, I met with World Aquatics, which was then like Vina, and they'd never done it before, but they were looking for consistency, right? Because if you think about like soccer that you'd call here, or like football for anyone else, you've got, the same host has been doing it for years.
Or
Erin Andrews here,
or
Erin Andrews for the NFL, or like these people become like the athletes get to know them, they become associated with that brand and that sport. So it had never really been done before ever for aquatic sports, and then so they brought me in to trial some stuff, and it just went really well. Like the consistency seemed to work, and it was a lot of work. We all worked very hard to make it happen, but. I feel like over the years, it kind of cements itself a little bit.
Well, and it's clearly a natural fit for what you're good at, but also you're working really hard to make it work.
Yes. Just long days, ladies and gentlemen. If you're at home and you want to do this, long days, high pressure as well. We're live on television, you know what I mean?
That's a lot of pressure. How do you deal with that? I've toured a lot with theater, and so I know that idea of like, you just got to go. It doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter what's going on. It doesn't matter what you're thinking.
None of it matters. And
Nothing
the thing
matters.
is, there's no, like I always say, it's like being shot out of a cannon. Like once we go live, there is no stopping. That cannonball's going until you come off. Whether something's going wrong, if something happens, I had, we all have in-ears, obviously. And in Doha, there was a moment where, like, I was just stood chatting with the athlete who had won, waiting for them to come down to me, like, just chatting, the crowd. Couldn't hear anything. We would just chat. And then I just heard my floor manager go, "You're live!" My ears had died. So they cut to us.
And you had no idea.
No idea. We were live on television. We were just chatting, like having a laugh, blah, 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 for like 10, 15 seconds on international broadcast. We were going out to like 100 countries or something.
Wow.
So, that's not a major mess up. But what I mean is as soon as you know that, you're like, there's no like, let's stop and retake that again.
No.
Like you would. We're live. We've been live.
That's it.
That's it.
It's going.
So for me, I used to get more nervous about it than I do now.
Okay.
I think as you grow and you get more confident and you understand your strengths, like as a performer, and I know that I'm good at live television. I work very well with producers in my ear. I work. I've had practice, I guess. I've made mistakes, a lot of them, and I'm like, okay, we don't do that again. Or we it's a process.
Yeah.
But now, I don't really. Actually, I'm telling a lie there. I do always get nervous before my very first segment. not every night, just of the first one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I always think once we get through that, say we've got 2 minutes and they come to me and I've got 2 minutes to, chat about like what's coming up tonight or like what the schedule's going to be, who's going to be racing or welcoming everyone or whatever. Once I get through the first one on the first night, we're good.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Do you do anything like mindset-wise or physically to get through it? Or you're just like, I know that it happens?
I write out, not exactly what I'm going to say, but I write out a general gist by hand, the first segment, always.
And then you don't after that?
No.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Like you trust once you get past that, it's going to be fine.
And also, like if we're then going into day 2, we've had night 1 of racing, so I can always improvise and talk about like anything that happened the night before.
Yes.
Last night we saw this. It was incredible. If you missed it, stick around because tonight's going to be just as great. Let's take a look at what we got coming up. I can work it.
Yes.
I'll always have an idea, and this it's a very collaborative thing. I work with. There's one producer I work with a lot, but whoever's producing me. But we have a great working relationship. His name's John Bailey. We love each other. We've worked together for years.
Yeah.
It's collaborative. Like he'll be like, "This is what I want." This is who we're interviewing. And we work together on like the content.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they're the bosses. They tell me what they want.
But you're the face of it. You're
exactly
the man in the arena, literally.
Yeah. And I think that's where, if you're looking at working in live, you have to get good, at things like improv. They'll come in my ear and be like, we're not ready for the next race. We need another 45 seconds.
How do you deal with when you have times like that? Do you just know inherently kind of what you can get out of somebody or what to do? Or do you just ask a question and it doesn't matter if it gets cut off? How do you kind of handle those things?
They would never crash out. They would never crash out. They would, if I was going long, I feel like they would tell me off, but I can't imagine them just like crashing out of an interview.
Got it.
Or crashing into one, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it just looks messy, I suppose, on a live broadcast. But it works both ways, right? There's been times, at a long event, say, where I've dried and I don't really, when you work with producers, they get to know you and they can tell that I may be running out of something to say and we've got 45 seconds to fill.
Yeah.
And that's where it becomes a very symbiotic relationship. Like you have to trust each other. He might come into my ear and be like, ask about the expectations. So then I'll be like, so, you're coming into this event. You had a fantastic performance in the World Cup Tour last year. We saw you in Shanghai do this. Here we are sort of 3 months on. What were your expectations coming into this after, racing like that? Right? And then you've got another question out of it.
I love it.
But my brain was blank at this point. We're on like day 17 of a World Championships. Yes. I can't think at that point. My brain's mush. So you lean on each other and trust each other. And I always explain to people who don't understand it or haven't worked in it, it's a little like if you've seen The Morning Show.
Yes.
Less toxic than their relationship.
Fair.
Like Jennifer Aniston, and I can't remember what the other character's called, Jimmy or something. I can't remember, but her producer.
Yes, yeah.
It's like that, he comes, I have that in my ear.
Yeah.
Right? It's very helpful.
Yeah, that's great that you have the little Jiminy Cricket. You've got a little voice in your ear that you can trust and you can rely on.
Because it's a team.
It's such a beautiful dance that you do.
It really is.
It's so neat.
But again, like I said to you, when I first did a few of these, the nerves were there. And I wasn't as good. And, you hadn't worked with each other enough, or you haven't you don't understand sort of that symbiosis as much, I suppose.
Sure.
Now I get it, right? And you understand it, you get it.
Well, it's kind of like a trust fall. You don't want to fall until you trust the person.
Yeah, because if I fall, the product falls.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
What's going out falls. And a producer's job, they're trying to make the best show they can.
Yeah.
They want to make this the most exciting sporting event that it possibly can be for everyone watching at home.
Yeah.
So it's teamwork. There's a lot of people behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you crafting questions ahead of time, or is it more topics that you want to think about that you trust that the questions will come in the moment?
I certainly do my research. I certainly will look at who's racing in a final, look at what they've done, or something that's happened. We know about something in their personal life. They're coming back from injury. They just got married. They just, whatever. Something that I've overheard something they've said in another interview somewhere, or my producers told me something that's we've been told from their coach or whatever. So I certainly go into it with an idea, but I never let it be that strict or stringent. I think it's far more interesting as a conversational piece.
Yeah.
Because I might go in with 3 or 4 questions that I'm going to ask. I might ask the first one and their answer leads us on a totally different direction.
Absolutely.
Right? So you just you just got the gold medal, hypothetically, a great time. You've got to be really happy. Are you happy with how that went? And they might go, no, actually, I swam, I messed that race up. Of course it's nice to get the medal, but this is what I was trying to do and it went wrong, and but of course it's nice to win. And then you're like, oh, okay, so that's isn't
way more interesting, actually. And you need to be present with it and
malleable
and pivot and be flexible with where they're actually going.
Definitely. I think being present is key, right? In live television and live broadcast, you've got to be.
Yeah.
There's no space to not be. There's so many people watching you live. You don't get a second take. You don't get a second chance. You just got to go. You know what I mean?
That's such a great adrenaline rush.
Yes. But also, what it's made me very comfortable in? Accepting and acknowledging when things go wrong, right? It's endearing. If I make a mistake or something happens, or, we're live and I'm talking and all the lights go out, everyone at home knows that something's gone wrong.
Yeah.
Everyone in the arena knows something's gone wrong. We're not ignoring it. We need to, the amount of times I've bumbled over my words or whatever, and you just make a joke out of it, I remember once in London 2016, we did this segment and it all went wrong, and I just literally turned down the barrel of the camera and went, well, that went well. A little grimace, and that went well, just sarcastically. And everyone was laughing because everyone could see that it was just a mess, right? Well, that went well. You know what I mean? And then they cut away and it's funny.
Yeah, you just acknowledge reality.
Yeah, we're all human. You know what I mean? There's still human trying to do something clean. If it doesn't go clean, you've got to acknowledge it.
Yeah. Are you ready to be confident and comfortable in front of a camera? Well, my name is Jessica Payne and I would love to help you. I'm an actor, acting coach, and the host of the Creators Cafe video podcast. I have helped thousands of people to learn the skills of a Hollywood actor to be more comfortable in their body, voice, and mindset whenever you press record. So if you're an entrepreneur, a business person who needs to be in front of the camera, or you want to get into digital content creation, I would love to offer you one-on-one on-camera performance coaching so that you feel like when you press record, you can be your best self. Check out the link below for more details, and I can't wait to work with you. Let's have fun together. So first question then, what's your mic check? What do you do?
My mic check?
Yeah.
I usually just talk nonsense, to be honest.
Do you?
That's quite a big thing. I mean, we've got a running joke between me and my producer. There was this guy we work with in Singapore who they brought in to do he thought he was coming in to do my job, a local host, at the Swimming World Cup in 2019. And but they needed someone for in-venue commentary. Didn't know anything about swimming, and we were about to go live. They're like, we need you just to do the in-venue though, not for broadcast. And he would go, all eyes on lane 4. So I'll occasionally throw that out, and everyone stares at us like we're crazy, and JB and I are dying. But I usually just talk nonsense. I mean, you guys, they're hearing me in this podcast. I love a good ramble.
Fair enough. When we were doing things on Zoom and I was directing a lot, my mic would go in and out. And so I would always go, this is me testing my mic. And so Kyle will just wander around muttering that sometimes.
This is me testing
my mic. But yeah, in shows on tours, it was always can you make the audio people break? That's the challenge.
Oh yeah, I'd probably get in trouble for that. I mean, they do there's all the tech stuff that I don't understand. I'll have to stand with the microphone sometimes and like,
Yeah.
while they're syncing it up with the live broadcast and the camera and the whatever.
Oh,
Because if they're
true.
sending, say, we're in a venue and the truck, the OB truck's like outside the stadium and they're sending the relay and they're sending the image back. So they have to like sync the audio with like the picture.
That's so interesting because like I've done so much pre-recorded things and I've done like shows that are taped live, but I haven't done like live broadcasts like that. So just even the things like there isn't a clapper, there isn't someone saying take two, like you only get one take.
No, and that's just it. Like, we're often far away, so they've got to, I don't understand all the technicals. I'm very much of that generation where I'm like, turn it off and turn it on and see if it's working. That's
unplug it.
But I do understand enough for it to be like, the sound is going to like, if I'm doing, the in venue as well, they sync my mic with the audio that's coming out for the arena and I'm doing the interview live. So everyone in the stadium's watching it on the screens in there, but then it's also going to the TV broadcast.
Yeah.
Well, it's got to go further, right? The sound has to travel further to the truck than to like... Which
takes time.
It takes time, right?
Yeah.
Sound and that, I mean, they're like, waves, I guess, like sound waves.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, it has to travel, it's got to go to like the desk and then it's got to go out. So everything's got to be synced. So it's like, I'm not talking and it's coming out 3 seconds later.
That's something I didn't really consider is the like size and scale of what you're doing because you are doing in-person interviews, but it's in-person interviews that a whole arena is watching, but then people are also watching on TV. How do you kind of get that right-sized in your brain?
I try not to think about it.
Okay, perfect. Definitely don't worry about it. You're doing great.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry if I brought it up.
No, it's fine. It's, I'm never, when I'm in it, and I think this harks back to what I sort of said about being present, right?
Yeah.
and I also try, sorry, I'm tangenting. It harks back to being present. It's like I'm in that moment with that athlete. I'm not thinking about, I think when we did Fukuoka, it was like we were going out to like 122 countries or something. Like it was crazy. I was doing the world feed, so every country that had bought the broadcast had bought like the post-race interviews that came with me, and then they have their own mix zone. So the athlete gets out, they come to me, we do the live interview for the whole world feed, and then they go down the mix zone and do their own like BBC or Channel 5 or NBC or whoever's down there. So whatever country wants to take it, they can take it. And the majority of them do. So we were live to, 122 countries, something crazy like that. I can't remember exactly. Mm-hmm. I can't think about that.
No, you just have to be like with the athlete.
Yeah, I can't think about it like that.
Yeah.
What I do like to do, and I think this is great since they've added this as part of like the broadcast package, is use the audience, right? So if there's 20,000 people in the arena at a Worlds and someone breaks a world record, and it's really great with athletes where English is a second language and they're trying, because they still come to me whether they can speak English or not, and we might get a word or two, but it's very endearing. It's just, so their face gets on the broadcast, they get their moment. And quite often, someone from China or whatever, we might get 2 words. They might be like, I'm very happy. That's it. That's all they can say in English.
Yeah.
I don't understand the question. The crowd will really get behind them and like cheer and clap, or if an athlete's getting emotional and crying, the crowd will get behind them. So I quite often bring them into it. Like I'll stop and get them to cheer louder and then go back into the interview.
You're very much an MC and
in that moment,
kind of the host of the party.
Yeah, it's like, and it's interesting because the sports are evolving, right? It's not being done like the straight. They get out, they go, they do this. We talk about how fast they went, whatever. It's changing. Like, how do you broaden the audience? How do you bring them closer? Well, if you're not a fan of swimming or diving or gymnastics or whatever the sport is, you don't get it. You don't understand how they scored what they scored, or you don't understand. All you know is that you're seeing an athlete who's crying because they've achieved something they've worked for their whole life. So that's what's interesting.
Yeah.
Like the person is interesting.
Yeah.
What they did is amazing, right?
Right.
But they're the interesting part, to me, anyway.
Yeah.
So, I try not to think about what's happening in people's living rooms as much, but I will incorporate the crowd
I love that.
as much as I can.
Okay, just entertainment questions.
Okay.
Are you providing your own outfits, your wardrobe? Is that somebody else? How does that work?
It depends. For the Olympics, I'm not.
Okay.
We've got, we have someone reach out to a bunch of brands. So I've got a few different brands dressing me. For other events, like, say we go on a swimming World Cup or whatever, then yeah, I'll go and we're traveling, so like this year we're doing Shanghai, Seoul and Singapore.
Yeah.
So we do like a week in each stop. So it's 3 broadcasts in each. So we fly on like the Monday, we land Monday. We Tuesday, Wednesday, we kind of off. Thursday's like broadcast rehearsals, everyone's in. Friday, the event happens. Saturday, the event happens. Sunday, the event happens. Then we fly to the next place on Monday and we repeat. It's like rinse and repeat. So with those, I'll either have people give me stuff. I've got so many work outfits now that have been like given to me, or, I've purchased to have beautiful suits and blazers and things just in my wardrobe. If it's something like that, a World Cup is a little more chill. So they want it more relaxed, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a polo and like, it's way more chill. A World Championships for an Olympics is more dressy.
Yes.
I'm not rocking up in like, listen, no one's standing beside a pool in, Tom Ford and no one's doing that. You're at a sporting event.
Yeah.
It's sports. It's not the Oscars. Right?
Yeah. So interesting.
But yeah, it is nice. I love free stuff. I had a fitting last week for 3 outfits for the Olympics, and I've got one next week as well. I know. Because I'm not a fashionista. You know me. I'm like, I rock around all day in like gym shorts and a tank top.
But you look good doing it.
Thank you.
You do.
So it's nice, when you go and they dress you and you've got nice clothes given to you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just interesting because this is such a different world, a side of the entertainment world for me, that just basic things like I show up to set and like someone's going to do my hair and makeup if it's at a certain level, and you don't even, and like provide the costumes at a certain level, but like you just don't know. It makes sense that it depends on what the event itself is. Definitely.
And things like, I'm on the side of a pool deck in a venue. It's hot, it's sweaty. We're live for 90 minutes. Obviously, makeup and everything's done when we get there. But, a race happens, I'm interviewing, I'm interviewing. It's different if you're in a studio where you can have someone come in and do your makeup. But poolside, I always keep some powder on me. I always keep, because I'm a sweaty guy as well.
Yeah.
So it's me, camera, assistant producer, whatever, and we're running out, doing these interviews, running back. The race happens, we're running out.
And you're so high energy when you do this too.
Oh yeah, it's a total vibe.
Yes.
But it's, if I need, I can do a little touch. But it's a different environment. You're like in the mix. You're in the action.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do remember once at Short Course Worlds though in Melbourne, and I was so excited, Jess, for everyone to come. All the athletes. We never go to Australia. It's so far away.
Yeah.
Like we never go down there and do events. They were hosting the Short Course World Championships in December, Australian summer.
Oh, gorgeous.
I was so excited. All the European athletes and American athletes were like, we're getting out of the winter. We're going to Australia, December, right? Just before Christmas. This is in 2022. We were in Melbourne, freak weather incident. They had this like, I don't know, low pressure system or something came up from Antarctica. Antarctica's just below Australia.
Yes.
It was freezing, Jess. Freezing. So cold that I was like, can I wear a coat? Like a full-on coat. That's how cold it was, right? It was Baltic. And they were like, it's going to look really weird because all the swimmers are going to be in their swim trunks.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, fair.
So I would be in a full deck coat and have to strip it off and run out and be like, this. But they were like, we can't have you dressed for, the snow. And then you've got an athlete stood there in their trunks, and I was like, okay. I'm just, you know what I mean? I get it.
All right, fair.
So, we're in it. I'm in it.
You're in it.
Yeah.
Wow. What took you from Australian boy who liked to make people laugh to where you are now?
Oh, God. What a journey. I'm exhausted thinking of it. It's interesting. It's been a wild ride. I think if I look back at that boy, would I ever think I'd be doing this in this moment? No. I always knew I was going to be like something in the realm of performing or involved with people or I don't know. But I never saw this exactly happen. I was in Australia, grew up in country Australia, like 5 hours north of Sydney, a little place called Wingham. No one knows where it is. Tiny country, like farm town. Went to school there, then went to college in Wagga Wagga. Then I moved to Sydney, was in Sydney for like a year and a half. And my mum is British. She was born in England, so she had a passport. And I didn't really know like what I was going to do with my life, I suppose.
Yeah.
So I just went to London for a year. Ended up staying for 10, loved it. But I'll never forget, I was walking down Oxford Street thinking like, what am I going to do? I don't know, I need to get a job, I need whatever. And Maria Frogner, I remember this very clearly. You won't know her, no one will know her. She was a recruiter for Abercrombie and Fitch. So she stopped me out the front of Top Man on Oxford Street and was like, hey, do you want to come and work at Abercrombie? So I was like, this sounds fun. Like I had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So I went and started working at Abercrombie & Fitch, and they put me in touch with a modelling agency. And I was like, oh, this is fun. So then I started working like commercially in modelling in Europe, and did that for a few years and had a great time. Got to travel around Europe and have like a blast.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I think like I want a little bit more. I want something else. And my agent at the time there, my modelling agent at the time there, sent me up for this show called Super Casino, which was like a late night live game show on Channel 5 in the UK. And I got it.
Nice.
So that was like my step into sort of like live TV, I suppose. But then the sports, I was doing bits and bobs, and I started working for a company called GBE that did like the in-arena stuff. So like nothing on TV, but like, they call it sports presentation when you go to watch a sporting match and there's all that entertainment that happens, right? Half times, whatever. And so I started emceeing at those. And then it just like, I suppose anything just sort of like went from there. And I worked with them a lot. And Greg Bowman, the sort of exec of that company, he's from Australia. And I have him to thank a lot for, because when they were looking for a host for the job I have now in swimming, they were looking at a few different people, like ex-athletes and stuff, and he really fought my corner.
Wow.
Him and I got on really well. He really liked like what I was doing, and we had a good relationship, and he like fought my corner. And I remember at home, and he phoned me up from Australia and was like, I need you to like lay down a track of you doing some commentary and a track of you doing this, and I need this and this and this. And so I sent it all off to him. So he was obviously going into these rooms and like pushing my name.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful to him. And he put me in touch with JB, that JB worked for his company, and the rest is really history. That was a very short, bullet pointed, like 15 years.
Wow, that was really tight. I'm
was
impressed.
It?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it was a long journey and it was lots of hard work.
Model to host to sports host.
Yeah.
Live TV in there. Yeah.
I mean, that's the arc, I suppose.
Yeah.
But there was a lot. It wasn't an easy ride, Jess. It isn't for anyone. There's ups and downs, I think, in this industry. I'm sure you've had actors and musicians and everyone sit in this chair. It's never overnight, ever. I truly don't believe there is such a thing as like overnight success. I don't think that happens, right?
Yeah. Oh. Because even the people we see like in their 20s have been doing it for 10 years.
Exactly, right? And we'll watch a movie now and I'll be like, oh, who's this actor? Some 22-year-old, and I'll go on IMDb and they did their first thing at 6 years old or whatever, and have been grafting and working, and so much of this industry is, I know they say it's who you know. I agree to a certain extent, but I also think so much of it is relationships, right? So, I've worked with producers, and over time, they enjoyed working with me. So they got me back for something else. And then they got me back for something else. And then we realized that, we got on really well, and we have a great sort of creative working sort of relationship. And then it develops. And, between the first job that I worked with them and the next job might have been a year and a half or 2 years. So it's like a process, but they think of you and they, you know, it goes back to what I said about Greg, like fighting my name. Like you need that. We need each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that it's who you know, but it's the relationships.
Definitely. Always. If you were listening to this podcast, never be difficult to work with.
Yes. And I've had people in that chair recently. I don't know if they said it before we were recording or not, but they say it just like no assholes policy.
Absolutely not.
And like and I think it was tolerated in the past and like no one is tolerating it anymore. And I'm so grateful.
Yes, same.
I'm so grateful.
And there's no need for it at all. It is a high stress environment. And there are times, you know, like certainly in live, you know, people will panic or stress or there might be a little explosion or whatever. But in terms of being like be good to work with, good to travel with, don't be difficult. I always say we're not curing cancer, right? Yeah. You're like acting on a television show, or I'm incredibly lucky. I'm being flown to Asia to do the Swimming World Cup. In what universe do I need to get there and be difficult for people, right?
Yeah.
Be nice.
Yeah.
Be a good human.
Yes, please.
And, you know, there's professional, and of course there's boundaries and all of those things that come along with it, but be easy to work with is my biggest bit of advice. If they like you, there are 100 people probably that could do my job, but me and these people get on well and they like working with me, so they bring me back.
Yeah.
Other people could do my job, but you develop personal relationships.
Yeah. Also, you do bring something very special.
Thank you, Jess.
I definitely think so. Yeah. I just have to mention, like, I adore watching you host the Brick Open every year, which is such a cool, special thing where it's just, it's a CrossFit competition at our local gym, but we have world-class host who takes the costume themes very seriously. Complete commitment.
100%. And, you know, listen, that is something that I love. Like, I love there's not often times in my life where I can, like, share what I do or be able to contribute.
Yeah.
You know, my dad's a mechanic. So we all need our cars done. Like, my dad would do us solids and like fix our cars, right? There's not a lot I can do for my...
Is there a doctor in the house? Like, is there a host anywhere?
Yes. Very that. Right.
Oh, but it's so incredible because this thing that would be fun and would be a community experience and would be good anyway is just completely elevated. And you take people who are just coming in and doing their gym thing and make them feel like superstars and have very insightful questions and like find a way to like ride the party atmosphere, but in a way that it like feels like an event. It's not like always at 100. It's like it has those natural peaks and valleys. And just watching you, I really started to appreciate the art of hosting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really love
it. I'm glad. Listen, that is something that I really love to do. It's, you know, I love CrossFit. That's where we met. I know your husband and all of that, but it's a big, you know, the Brit community is a big part of my life, and it's the one time of the year I can give something back, right? Like, and I truly love being a part of it, and I love being able to, I mean, trust me, I wish we had a budget. Like, I would love to do like athlete entries and like every heat we have them come out one at a time with smoke machines and, you know, the whole shebang, trust.
Oh my gosh.
Unfortunately, that's not necessarily an option. I'm like, what do you mean we don't have the same budget as a world championships? But it's also hard work. You know, I've always said this, the smaller the gig, the more I tend to work, right? Because, you know, when you go to a massive, massive international event, right, there's someone for every job.
Yes.
There's someone doing every job.
Yes.
Right? So I just have to do
your
my
tiny
job.
little area.
When we do something like the Brick Open, it is me, Pedro, Kyle, you know, doing 50 jobs.
Everything.
And it's a lot of work,
It
but
is.
but I think people, I hope people enjoy it and you know, appreciate it's not necessarily the right word. I just hope that they enjoy it
Yeah.
And I hope that it makes the CrossFit Open just a little bit special.
Oh, it's very special and very fun. And
yeah,
the fact that you're doing it all in whatever the themed costume is, better.
Yeah.
Even better.
I did it once in a Speedo.
In a Speedo?
Yes, I did. And then all the photos came out and I was like, oh my God, I was really showing everyone my breakfast. I didn't realize at the time.
I think that is my mental picture of confidence, though.
Oh, really?
So it's like,
Great.
I love it. You were fully present,
yes.
just like we talked about. And that was just like the visual encapsulation of that.
Visually, fully present in a Speedo,
Yeah.
while people are throwing barbells around. It was great fun. Yeah, I hope I can do that every year. And, it's perfect for me. It always falls when I'm in the country. I do a lot of travel.
Right.
You know this, I'm always away.
Right.
And luckily, since COVID, I've been here every single one. And I hope that it continues down that road.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, I always ask my guests for a creator's challenge.
Wow.
And I took a sneak peek at yours and I kind of love it.
Oh,
so
really?
I have to admit, I got a little misty in a coffee shop when I read it.
Oh,
because I was just like, this is so sweet. I love this. And it's just there's something about you that's really special to me, because I think that it's very easy to look at confident man standing in a Speedo yelling things and see the shiny Abercrombie model and miss the deep heart and generosity that you have.
Aww.
And I think that's why you're great at what you do. I think it's not just a bonus. I think it's the core of why you're great at what you do, is you really see the people that you're with at a deep level and elevate them. And it's really like you said you're not curing cancer, but I actually think you're like seeing people at a really deep level, and it's more important than you realize.
Oh, thanks, Jess. That's really nice of you.
Well, you made me cry in a coffee shop, so back at you.
Not intentionally, by the way.
No, it was in all the best ways. So yeah, with that, can you say what you would suggest that people do?
My suggestion to all of you, if you've got 10 minutes, sit down and write 5 things that are unique about you, or you like about yourself, or maybe that you enjoy, just truly about who you as a person. Because I say this, we all have bad days, and we've all been there. I certainly have been, lots of ups and downs. And for me, it's always really, if I'm having bad thoughts, it's always good to go back and remind yourself about the things you love about yourself. So take 10 minutes, write them down, and keep them somewhere where you can look back at them if you're having a rough day and you need to find that little bit of self-love.
Yeah.
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 That's my challenge to all of you.
It's funny. That's like a harder challenge than a lot of them.
It is.
In many ways, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I know you think, it's only 5 things, but find 5 things that you truly love about yourself. Yeah,
that aren't kind of loaded in other people too.
Yeah, truly about you.
Yeah.
What is unique to you, and what makes you special in your existence on the planet?
Oh, I love that. Well, we didn't even have time to talk about your acting and everything that you're doing now.
I'm sorry, I rambled so much.
No,
Everyone at home was rambling.
I really loved hearing about all of this. When we're watching you at the Olympics, what swimmers are you excited for us to watch? Who should we keep an eye on? Okay,
Summer McIntosh, Canadian. She's going to do amazing things. She's 17. She's world record, 4 a.m., 400 meters. She's going to be fantastic. For the Aussies, for my people, Kaylee McEwen, I think, is going to do it. She's got the world record in the 50, the 100, and the 200 backstroke, all 3, which is crazy. And of course, Adam Peaty, the Brit, is going for his 3rd straight gold medal in the 100-meter breaststroke. He's going to be one to keep an eye out for. I really hope he does it. Listen, it's going to go whichever way it goes, but it would be nice to see someone do a 3-peat, So they're picks for me. Of course, there's going to be spectacular performances.
Oh, yeah.
Of course. Watch it.
Of which
Tune
you
in.
will be
Watch
one.
me. Yes, I will bring some excitement for you. You can watch it. Yeah.
And for anybody that's excited about hosting
Yes.
or hosts, what is one thing that you like to think about other than being present? What recommendations do you have?
If you want to be a host, find a subject matter you're passionate about, right? If music's not your thing, there's no point you hosting a music show.
Yeah.
Why are you doing it? Why are you hosting what you're hosting, right? So find a subject matter that interests you and you're passionate about. That is a good tip from me.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Because then it's never a job.
And I can see that when
Yeah.
you're hosting, that
Yeah.
you do truly love it, that you are
Yes.
actually excited about it. You're not faking it. You're
No.
actually excited about it. And you
Because
just,
it's exhausting and it's long hours and
Yeah.
it's hard work and it's all the things. So, find something you love. Find not the job, find the subject matter that you love.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then you find your way in.
Yeah.
How should people follow you?
You can follow me at official John Mason. Follow me on social media. I would love to have you guys there and join me for the journey to Paris
And we'll watch
and
you.
beyond.
Yeah. And we'll watch you on the Olympics.
Yes.
In a month.
I know, that's crazy. It's like 5 weeks away. That is crazy.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Cheers. It was
Cheers.
a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Join the community and share your creative challenges on Instagram and Facebook at Creators Cafe by Kika Labs. And also check out my website, kikalabs.com, KIKALABS.com, to sign up for the mailing list so you always know when a new podcast is released, and to check out my coaching and digital courses to help you be a more confident and joyful creator.